Welcome back. The Longzhou Gaming lineup that picked up the championship win over SK Telecom many moons ago now. Cuz starting in game 2, even though Peanut had a decent game. And first ban once again, so blue and red side respect ban against Keen's gameplay.
They just don't want to see that. And this time Afreeca on the side of red will be forced to ban out some of these more hyper 80 carries, as we've been seeing all the time. Ezreal being taken out this time. Aiming doesn't want to even try to get a shot at playing bans here.
And you mentioned in game 1 about the must bans. It does feel like teams in Korea, compared to the last meta where we had 3 must ban red side champions, are varying things up a bit earlier. There's been 1 week of basically permanently banned Ezreal, Kalista, and Kog'Maw. We had Kog'Maw go through picks and bans in the last game. I think it's smart, teams have finally had the chance to take a deep breath, 2 days off to kind of pick up where the meta's at. It's no guarantee we will see those 80 carries banned every game, but certainly against players as strong as Prey on Ezreal, it makes sense that at least some of them come down on the ban list.
Camille banned out second after the Gangplank, so double targeted bans against Keen, just saying like, you're just not allowed to play this, and targeting the rookie on any lineup is a pretty good strategy.
And Spirit also debuted Camille jungle, so it's a flex pick for Afreeca Freecs more than a lot of other people. My read on this also is, hey, first pick Gnar will be pretty good if you keep providing coverage bans, and we'd love you to take Shen into it again, so maybe that's just the King Zone plan here. Maybe railroaded by certain champions being available, but Sejuani is banned away. First pick Ryze also a possibility, so it feels like Ryze and Gnar are kind of the first picks we're expecting from King Zone.
Yeah, just so fantastic as blind picks into their solo lanes, as you were talking about in game number 1, and I'm sure that King Zone kind of has that on lockdown as their strategy, but we'll see what Afreeca wants to ban out here, because if KZ does decide to go for one of those picks, then Afreeca definitely could answer with the other one as it does rotate to the red side. There is the Kog'Maw banned out.
I think it's a bit of a junk ban just because it feels like King Zone aren't going to gravitate towards it. And like you say, they don't want to give away Ryze and Gnar, but one of, as a trade, is a pretty decent solution. So what if King Zone here? Maybe a bit surprised. They're not going to just take the stronger of the two. Ryze is the one who kind of defines the meta right now. Doesn't have any terrible matchups, especially if the early game is passive enough that you can hit all your spikes and get a QSS against Malzahar. So given that, they're happy to run the Ryze. We'll see if Afreeca is going to take away the Gnar in the first round.
BDD was also low-key, just doing everything very well. He was super solid in game number 1. His Realm Orb to catch some of the weakened members at the fight at Dragon. Also to just get to Baron is, he's been pretty good on that champion. They give that to him again. We do see the Gnar being hovered after the Varus that was already locked in. This would be the trade we were talking about. We'll see if they want to give Keen a shot.
And it does kind of, and because the Varus takeaway kind of does push Prey into something like the Tristana, where 480 carries deep now, and the first 3 are banned, and the Varus is seen as the next tier list 80 carry. So another team might have first picked Varus, but certainly not King Zone. And hey, look who's back! It's Jace for Khan. This is a classic, and it's also with Cuz in the lineup, maybe on Kha'Zix, but we know he largely does path around topside. We hope to come away from this series with the answer to the question, how will King Zone integrate BDD, Khan, and Peanut? We only got a single game of inaction, but we know all about this pick, Valdez.
I mean, it's his pick, right? When you think of Jace, you think of Khan. When you think of Khan, you think of Jace, vice versa. This is going to be hard for Prey now because they definitely can target out some more 80 carry bans, but I feel like King Zone made this happen, right? They take the Ryze, they expect the Gnar to be taken, and they're like, okay, we're just going to go ahead and counter you with the Jace, rather, up in the top lane. And it's really putting a lot of pressure on Keen. He has to perform against Khan, or else it's going to be a kind of embarrassing 2 games for him.
It's also a min-max for the side of King Zone because, hey, Khan has had that shorter LCK career. Give him his champion, whereas Prey has been around forever, been through every single meta as an 80 carry. You ban all these 80 carries out, who's to say he just doesn't lock in Ashe and do his Ashe arrows like no one else can? So if you're thinking about who can absorb bans the best, Prey you'd certainly take over the side of Khan, and you get the good laning matchup into Gnar for the Jace. So It's even better when you get Jason a good matchup because this man certainly can just have a field day in top.
Very much agree. I mean, even if you go ahead and ban Xayah, right? There's another pick we've been seeing a lot at Sivir. He can go ahead and pick that. If he doesn't want to pick that, maybe he brings out his old Ashe, right? There's definitely some options for him. There are two big supports that are left over, the Braum and the Alistar. So if they want to go ahead and pick those, just like in the last game we had those two, Gorilla can get that one. So
I mean,
feel like Kingzone is sitting pretty right now.
I mean, support pool is full power, right? Even Tahm Kench hasn't been banned yet.
True.
Tahm Kench, Taric, Braum, like you say, are all very, very likely choices here. Spirit wants to ratchet up the tempo a little bit.
Ooh, okay. Definitely can get aggressive with that pick. He can try to get in onto the Kha'Zix. He can do a very nice job with counter-ganking up in the top lane as well. So a bit of a nod from Afreeca saying, okay, you want to play that game? For sure. We can go ahead and play that game with our own Lee Sin. And
Prey and Gorilla are probably going to be all alone, so safety is probably prioritized from the bot side. Caitlyn, we didn't even pay lip service to, has been pretty common. So despite all the AD carry bans take away, 6 AD carries accounted for, Caitlyn Braum is pretty damn safe to be ignored on the bot side, which is just the Kingzone way. Aiming's debut bot lane he'll be facing will be that Caitlyn Braum. Debuting against Prey and Gorilla, certainly memorable, but also pretty scary for the side of Aiming.
We'll see if he can have a solid game on the Varus. And let's just see what pick we will have here. Tahm Kench still available, as you were mentioning, but
not really a pick.
If they want to make some plays, maybe the Alistar, but looks like they're just going to go for that Janna. Just say, no, just get away from us.
It's kind of a weird time to pick Janna for my read, just because Janna's great against melee threats jumping in, so you think, okay, Kha'Zix, but Jace doesn't spend a lot of time in hammer form, might also be split pushing the majority of the game. Braum's probably going to be more on the peel side of things, so the Janna here doesn't absorb poke very well, so Jace definitely going to have a field day against low armor Janna in the poke wars. Bit of a strange one to me. Tahm Kench wasn't exactly massive either. I think Taric could have been considered, but maybe they're just worried about teamfights being kited out. So they've gone for Janna. Good in the lane against Braum, it should be mentioned, but in the teamfight phase, it's still going to be Janna. It's still going to have some power, but it's not the sort of game where Janna just undoes what a blue side draft has chosen. For a last pick support, I was kind of expecting more.
And nowadays, we were talking about that bottom lane. It's not really like you're trying to overpower and win the bottom lane with big action, right? You're kind of sitting back and farming, so it's really about what can Janna do late and mid-game, and that's where we're kind of hitting a brick wall and getting a bit confused with the pick. But maybe Tushin can prove us wrong and perhaps even do some plays with that Janna.
Certainly not a pick without merit, just as a last pick support. If you're going to last pick something usually like, this is the ace in our sleeve, I'm just not seeing it leap off the page. I'm ready to be convinced. Kingzone would love a 2-0, especially against Afreeca. That started strongly. We're a bit surprised to see Cuz starting, but it is that LCK Championship lineup. And another debut that no one saw coming, aiming for his first ever professional game.
Coming on in, we also get to see Spirit on the Lee Sin. Wants to control the Khan-Cuz duo a little bit and get aggressive on that Lee Sin. So we'll see if he can make a splash here in this game, along with aiming for Afreeca versus Kingzone, game number 2. Go, guys. Game number 2.
Man, we filled up in here, Valdez.
Yes,
extra seats put in. This was, of course, sold out days ago, and this match saw that every day. Over at OGN tomorrow, we have the Telecom War, so it only gets ratcheting up all throughout the week. So many must-see matchups, and here at the Gangnam Stadium, not a spare seat inside. It's going to be a really fun one here. Hard to read, just because Afreeca have done a couple of surprising things in the draft, but to me, the person with the most intent in their pick is Spirit, who says, let's go for a skill matchup. I feel like whoever gets the drop on their enemy here between Kha'Zix and Lee Sin basically wins when it comes to that duel. The first Q is usually the one that cements who wins. Afreeca are not spotted. They will be starting red side, although Gnar entering lane late does give some pretty good information to the side of Cuz.
Yeah, they should know what's going on here. Cuz is spotted on the red ward.
Yep.
Or the Afreeca ward at the red. is going to go straight to his Raptors, actually, clear out some of those. But yeah, we're looking towards the top lane for this one as well, right? Both of these champions are ranged. Khan is known to be super oppressive on his Jace, already getting aggressive.
It's a winning matchup. Winning matchup for Jace as well. He has a lot of winning matchups, of course, but this is a good time, and Khan doesn't have to play a lot of solo queue games on Jace to make us believers. He's the guy who single-handedly was thought to be defining the meta as we came into Worlds 2017, and whether it's a Maokai or a Gnar, you don't get many CS in the first wave if you're facing Khan's Jace.
Yeah, sitting back, only boomeranging. And you can see he's picked up the area as well just for a little bit more harass. That's what you got to do against Keen, who has gone for a Doran shield, understandably.
It's one of the very, very rare times you'll see Summoner Aerie in a top lane range versus range matchup, and that's because in the situationally melee times when it is Mega Gnar coming through from Keen, it's massive value out of the area as Cuz is invading and Spirit doesn't like it.
Cuz, you know, shaking off a bit of that Khan's pet image, saying, okay, we're gonna get aggressive here against Spirit, against his Lee Sin.
I mean, to some degree, but if you can see your top laner controlling the every move of the enemy top lane, that's still the right quadrant. So top red side jungle is definitely where Cuz is strongest, and that's why we're seeing him playing there. If we ever have a heat map of a Cuz game, you can best believe we will not see many blue side entrances from the jungler to the bot side of the map.
We might actually have a heat map. We've had Spo do that before, at least last week on Tuesday, showed us one heat map. It was pretty cool. But yeah, he's like, I'm going to farm the stuff on my top side anyway, so let me try to steal some of his first so I can maximize my time on the top side. I think you're exactly right with that one. You can see what Khan is doing up in the top side already. Lots of shock blasts straight in the face. But here we go, Cuz with an early gank, and that's going to be the cleanse flash, and Kuro does get away with a bit of a shuffle as well towards the end, but that is both summoners blown. It's a very weak Kuro.
Yeah, really nice gank timing. I believe Kuro just used his Q, so he didn't have his full rotation in order to be able to reposition for the escape. So by the time he got to it, had to use both summoners. Very big cost there. In the pre-match, we talked about Kuro's previous struggles on the Azir. Had a very good game, it should be mentioned, last time on the Azir, but previous to that had gone 1,013 days, I believe it was, without a victory. So needs to prove that he's getting his eye in multiple games, not just a flash-in-the-pan one game.
I like what Cuz is doing, you know, even some deep wards on in towards that Gromp. They get the vision on the Lee Sin, and look at what Khan can do. He's almost gonna solo kill Keen up in the top side. As with the non-stop pushing, this is what we expected out of Khan, and especially knowing that Spirit is nowhere near, it just unlocks Khan to go nuts.
He just weaves his autos and spells so good. He never drops damage, hits every ability. You get out if you're keen, but he's already started Doran's shield. He's already working towards as much health and armor as he can. Keen knows his role, and his role is basically to just be dictated to by Khan.
Pretty much. You gotta follow the alpha in the lane, and you'll notice that Khan has not taken a single defensive passive summoner or rune or anything like that, right? He has taken Aerie as well as Domination for a secondary tree, and then he went double Doran's Blade with double Longsword. So he's saying, just get the hell out of my lane, Keen. You don't deserve to be here. He wants to prove that he is the leader of the top lane with this Jace.
He's saying the Inspiration Tree is only inspiring in name only. He's trying to inspire the top lane carries with his full DPS approach, and was doing it out of fashion last year, trying to bring it back into fashion now. You definitely know someone when you get to see them again that you've missed them, and Khan definitely qualifies as that. Hasn't missed a beat.
Look at Cuz too, he hasn't missed a beat either. I love what he's doing, just always getting in there,
let's be fair,
jungling.
He has Jace just wailing away on a Gnar and both summoners down on the mid lane, so he's in the right place, you're right.
Yeah.
It is reliable, but
wins the Smite War, right? We were talking about how Spirit's like, okay, I'm gonna pick Lee Sin and out counter jungler, out jungle Cuz, but that's not the case so far.
But isn't this the struggle? When you see this and you're like, it feels so good. It feels like the Longzhu I remember now for Kingzone, but Peanut's not there is the thing we have to remember, so it is working a treat. I'd love to see them draft. I want to see Peanut with a Jace top lane draft because you didn't get too many of those during the season. Only during Worlds was Huni back as a starter and also back with the Jace duty. But the shoe fits so well because this is how they found all their success in 2017.
They're going in, man. They want this red. They're saying, this is our red. Everything's warded. They have a control ward up top. You see Spirit is up here. He's going to get a ward down, so they see that.
You can smite over the wall. That's why they're trying to pull it a bit more.
Okay, that's going to go over to Khan, too, who secures it with the Shock Blast. So Cuz didn't even have smite there. He used it on the Raptor earlier on. They're saying, hey, might as well just give the red buff over to Khan as well. The top side of this map is entirely ours.
It's a tremendous start here from King's Zone. Even though you'd have to imagine Peanut has been dominating scrim time, they have not missed a beat in this particular game. The draft they are so happy with because of where the pressure lies. Azir actually does well into Rise pre-6, unless he's ganked as I see a storm. It's gathering.
Storm. It's happening.
On Janna, no less.
Yeah.
Well, if this game goes 90 minutes, he's going to have 305 AP, we heard. It's a number above 300 at the 90-minute proc, so
yeah.
Pull it late is suddenly a new meme here for the Afreeca Freecs.
It's very interesting because it would definitely go adaptive towards AP, right? It wouldn't go
yes.
AD? Okay.
Well, you also you do notice that he also has an AP starting item.
Sure,
you don't get Relic Shield on the Janna, as Khan is still a huge jerk.
Yeah.
He picked up the red buff because that's who you want to give the red buff to.
He's just, he won game 1, and he's like, okay, I have a big counter matchup, Gnar versus Shen, right? This time, we're going to give you the Gnar, but it's like a total dupe, right? They knew what they were doing with this 100%.
Full laning, Scorch here for the laning phase.
Yeah.
I watch games like this, and I'm like, if only Peanut could pick up the Ivern and just give every red buff to Khan.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a red side.
He's going in. Here we go. Shock Blast is going to be stopwatched, and Khan is out of mana now. So let's see what he can do. Keen is not going to let him go too easily.
We said before, though, a successful gank is blowing one of the flash or stopwatch just straight up in the 1v1. Blows the stopwatch, won't be available next time, has a follow flash as well. So still big advantage to Khan, even if he had to give up most of his health bar to do it.
Yeah, and keep in mind this is, it's essentially 1v1, right? Cuz is doing a really nice job, as I've said before, of just always spotting where Spirit is on the map, but it's just Khan going off on the Jace and him having the room to do it. It's so fun to watch, and I love that our observer is only showing the bot lane when Khan is not in lane.
3100, so 31 CS lead, not 3100 CS, that'd be amazing, for Jace on the top side, and going towards the Blade of Ruin King first, saying, well, I'm going to build purely for lane, and you can have fun with that. At the end of the day, when you see the first purchase was the Ruby Crystal, the Cloth Armor, and now the actually, I gotta get there. I can get there. The item that builds into Thornmail. Items are now avoiding me. Come on, brain.
I'll let you handle it. Do you want me to spoil?
Yes.
It's
now you're gonna lose it.
It's something with Bramble
Vest.
Yeah.
So the Bramble Vest has been heavily nerfed as a rush item, and yet it's still being rushed here. Against the lifesteal might be decent. A Spirit, ho-ho!
Sitting on a ward, he's got a stopwatch of his own, but Cuz, look at him, he's got his own flash. That'll be first blood with a nice Q. He has his stopwatch as well, but he is incredibly low. Can he get away from this one? Khan is coming in, missing the boomerang, and the last auto is not going to take him down. Now it's Khan versus Keen, 1v1. He's got his ultimate up, he's going to hit the stun, but here comes Cuz. Coming back in. Oh, but he goes a little bit too deep, eats the tower shot.
Buddy system might cost them here.
He's going to try to, okay. Not sure what that was, but Khan got out of there, and Kuro misses every spell, and that means that only one kill is going to go to the side of Afreeca.
The hammer hit there actually pushed him out of spell range and wasn't able to actually pull off any sort of a move. So while it looked like a blooper, was a very nice hammer hit by the Jace to interrupt the spell weaving there on the side of Kuro. Not able to make it. It could have been 2 or 3 kills there for Afreeca, if not for that. Bot lane, gotta say, double range is working out pretty damn well. We mentioned that in the late game it might not mean much, but this non-interactive lane, it is big turret damage lead to the side of Afreeca.
I've noticed that Tushin has hit a couple of his tornadoes there very nicely on both members. So Spirit's sitting on a ward. You can see that they go for him here.
Yeah, incredible amount of burst. They could have backed away. The second stopwatch no doubt frustrates Khan from the last time he was playing Jace before the stopwatch meta. Cuz gets super low, and the buddy system kind of lets them down. Khan comes in trying to interrupt Cuz, who's one auto attack away from dying. But then because the Gnar bar is there, it's like Khan is going to die. So at the end of the day, the buddy system could have been a bit cleaner. Cuz takes tower aggro and dies. Watch what happens here, though. Kuro is licking his lips, but no, it was actually a botch.
Yeah,
okay.
he did not hit the hammer, and Kuro just...
I misread that, Kuro. Unfortunately, back to his old Azir days.
I mean, it was a nice flash by Khan, but okay,
Speaking
here's
of
another flash going on in here. Aiming taking a little bit too much damage because he is back. He's got his jump on in, and a TP will come in from the Gnar, I believe, coming from behind. But that is a second kill onto the Jen, and now it's 4v1, and this is very fast, getting out of control here. Will they go for another kill? 4 members coming on in. He misses that Q onto Spirit. Does Gorilla, but a bit of a botch of a gank there, and Afreeca getting caught out means that a couple kills go over to them as well as the first turret up in the top lane.
You're being kind, Valdez. A massive botch. The teleport was actually fully channeled by Keen, saying, all right, I'm probably going to lose my turret for this. He teleports onto a Caitlyn trap, so isn't able to do anything, and he's in mini-Gnar form, so he was never going to be able to turn it around. The amount of instant gold and map pressure Kingzone have been able to get. Jace has exited lane 12 minutes in with the turret against the Gnar. This game has snowballed in a way we haven't seen since last year, and stealing away a red buff isn't going to stop it.
Oh, okay, Spirit. He's going on in. He does have the help of Kuro here now, but look at Cuz coming on in before the keep. They're going to burst down Spirit before anything, and Kuro's damage is going to do something, but not before he goes down. Double kill going over to Cuz. Will be taken out by Keen, though, on the back end of it. So a 2 for 2, a rumble in the jungle so far.
Yeah, very, very bloody. In the end, Afreeca trading evenly with how far behind they were in terms of map pressure is not bad, but it doesn't really get them any more control in their red side jungle. You're still going to have Jace returning with a Blade of the Ruin King complete already to just item parts here from Keen, who desperately wants to put together something. Afreeca does not control their top side. They kind of knew that would be the way, but it's the bot side gank working at still costing them. We're going to see the replay. Spirit hit the Q much earlier. Didn't think he was going to taxi onto it, but does, because Kuro is in position. Keen is on the way. Khan has no health. He's at almost no mana. Gets some autos into Kuro. This should have probably been a 2 for 1 for Afreeca, but because the autos do register from Kingzone, they go 2 for 2, which works for them.
Yeah. Kuro with the botched flash there, trying to get over the wall. Doubtful as to whether that would have saved his life, but some mechanics not 100% there, obviously, for Kuro. And shoutouts to Cuz, by the way, who has been all over this map.
I mean, he's 4-2-2. He is the snowboard Kha'Zix we haven't seen in, what, 3 or 4 match days. We've had Kha'Zix struggle in ways we didn't expect. Seeing the contest here for blue.
3v3 for now, but you guys can see Kuro and Keen even walking closer to this blue buff just to secure it for Kuro. Meanwhile, Keen just not in the top lane. Khan letting it push right now towards him is going to clear that out for now.
It's a good shot call from the side of Kingzone. They knew that Keen had already left lane, and also that they're strongest around where Jace is. Jace didn't have teleport up. Jace wasn't going to be there, so don't contest in a 4v4 when most of your early pressure and damage, the guy who's 60 CS up, isn't even there.
Yeah, this is spiraling out of control very fast as the Mountain Drake is picked up. Khan getting some vision in the jungle, stealing as many jungle creeps away from Spirit, who has been pretty, he's not been there really. Kind of absent from the game. He's tried to make a couple of plays, hasn't really worked out for him. He has 1 assist and 2 deaths so far on this Lee Sin. And you were talking about how it's a bit of a skill matchup, right? The Lee Sin versus the Kha'Zix, and so far, Cuz getting the better end of that one.
The moment that we saw Khan so exquisitely, disassemble Keen from what, level 1, level 2 with his threading. Nice little Q over the wall there. They knew they would have no presence. It's always going to be tough in the Gnar versus Jace side of the matchup because Gnar does heavily lose basically every trade. But the moment that he also lost all of his health early, it meant that Spirit kind of had to play a reactionary game. He couldn't really play around a pushing mid lane and an even top lane, and thus he was defensive. Cuz read the situation smartly, started invading with the pressure, and then Spirit is just a Lee Sin who has losing lanes, which doesn't feel powerful. You're not playmaking with your kick, you're disengaging with it. Yeah. Bot lane was a Janna lane, so you're not going to gank that either. Speaking of ganks.
Yeah, speaking of engaging here, we get behind the bottom lane. Tushin is going to disappear, and here comes Khan even with his own teleport. Going to pick up the Varus. Braum able to knock up Spirit in the back, and Lee Sin looking more useless than ever, not getting there in time. Not that he could have done much. That's another 2 kills on the board now for Kingzone. And this is what the fans wanted to see, right? They wanted the aggression, they wanted the action, and finally we're getting it out of Kingzone, already very far ahead at only 17 minutes into the game.
And we're seeing a very special game, which is kind of surreal to say after the 94-minute extravaganza of the last few days. And the reason why I say that, Valdez, is that this isn't supposed to be how the meta is. You know, Jace's been available in lots of games, but not selected. But the ability of Kingzone to default to these Jace drafts, to even play around, kills that would have been there before, remember. The 2 stopwatches stopped 2 earlier kills from Jace being registered onto Lee Sin and Gnar. But then even in the context of all of that, they're playing exactly the same style against a meta that's supposed to counter it, but they're doing it so damn well that it looks just the same as 2017 Summer Longzhu game.
They're essentially styling all over Afreeca, making it look easy, right? It's not what we expected when Cuz came in, but once we saw that Jace pick, kind of opening up our eyes here to the possibilities, right? You don't always have to play 100% to the meta. So here we go, taking a look at jungle proximity. Cuz has just had his way with the map and with Spirit. 4 out of 5 gank attempts actually being successful for Cuz so far.
And I would have loved the stat of, enemy jungle time,
the heat map
right?
too, by the way.
Yeah, the heat map is basically confirming that enemy jungle time. He spent his time in exactly the white quadrant. Basically spent all of his time in the top red side jungle for the enemy team of Afreeca Freecs. It's kind of a weird game where 18 minutes in, your bot laner is stealing away the red buff in any meta, but that just to the nth degree shows how strong Kingzone is around wherever Jace is. Now Jace is going to rotate to the bot side. Prey's going to go for a leisurely walk with the red buff to siege even stronger in the mid lane. The lane assignment here is so powerful, and you notice that Keen, he's just trying to lane wherever Jace isn't.
I mean, he's just struggling to have any presence on the map so far. He was trying to get over to help out with the dragon fight that almost broke out near the blue. Didn't really do much there. He's meekly walking down into the bottom lane now, just hoping that Jace won't be there. Trying to pick up the scraps of his farm that's there. Only has a frozen mallet so far.
And the bramble vest.
Yeah, the bramble vest still there.
I've learned that one. Yeah. I'll remember it, but oh, Kuro.
I mean, this is just, as you were saying, he's picked up the Duskblade. He is farmed out of control now. He's got mobility boots too, which just makes his mobility on the map even that much stronger with that evolved ultimate on the Kha'Zix.
Trying to delay here with the Janna shields. Might buy one more minion wave, should do. Watching Amy walk up.
Frey's just poking the members instead of the turret there. Trying to do some damage. Does a bit to Tushin.
There's a lot of meanwhiles. Meanwhile, Jace put the red buff. Meanwhile, Rise pushing in an insanely large minion wave into Azir's face. Means Azir won't be there, even if Spirit looks for some playmaking. He's going to find BDD.
Yeah, he's going to lock him down here.
Oh!
Look at that burst damage coming out from BDD. Almost 100-0 Spirit over there by the brush, making him even more worthless in this game. Well, worthless is kind of mean, but, hasn't really had much of a presence.
Look, we know we're not talking about his human worth, but
yes.
In terms of his game worth, he's pretty useless in this particular game.
Sure.
Not much he can do. Keen and Spirit might as well be battle wards because they are not really going to be able to contribute. BDD pushes up. The full court press looks oh so easy when you're 6,000 gold ahead at 20 minutes. Yeah, Kingzone. This is the team that everyone praised in summer. Same lineup comes back. They do it again. They roll back the clock with the Jace.
Yeah.
It's just a pleasure to watch after really so many games that were the antithesis of games like this.
Yeah. It's going to be funny when people look at the, okay, hold that thought. Tushin, you're a Janna. You have a lot of disengagement tools, but you almost got 100-0 there before you realized what was happening. But yeah, it's going to be funny when people look at the match results after. They're going to see, oh, Cuz actually came in. And oh, wow, that was the most dominant game of all of LCK yet. Maybe they should just play Cuz every game. That's what they might think. Obviously, when you watch the game, it looks a little bit different.
I'm going to give some Kingzone some roster advice. Play Khan every game. This is the guy who should be playing every game. Obviously, he was not available to be picked in the first series. We're having some fun, but he has had a day out today, even if Cuz will probably win the MVP here, you'd imagine, for Game 2.
Yeah.
My vote will go to Khan, who's been styling.
he just hasn't really been picking up the kills, you know? Whereas Cuz has been in every single kill.
100% kill participation as well.
He's been in the top lane, he's been in the enemy jungle, he's been mid, forced the summoners out of Kuro early on. He's been bot for the gank when they were pushing up a little bit too far, right? When we were talking about
Look,
it, right?
There is certainly an argument for Cuz, who's had a great game, but you know, I always think about how this game should have gone, and if you're an average Jace, it doesn't go this way. Cuz isn't able to be in those positions because you're behind, but if you're Khan's Jace, then you do things that just look so exquisite that Afreeca and Keen, who, remember, held Smep, you know, pretty one-to-one quite well, has been left wanting compared to Khan in full form. He used his time in solo queue, a lot of solo queue games compared to most of the pro players, because, of course, wasn't able to scrim for week 1. But the Jace wasn't there, doesn't need to be. So damn good at that pick. Top lane turret will go down soon.
Yeah, it's a little bit disappointing for the Afreeca fans, I have to feel, right? You know, Keen coming in, looking good earlier on, but now just getting totally crushed. And especially after taking out KT, right? The first time in over a year, able to take out such a big team as KT, but now just getting crushed by Kingzone 2 games in a row. I mean, not really the follow-up you were looking for.
Khan's Jace monstered basically every team. You know, one loss in the summer season among all events, so it's just the reality. This pick especially opens him up to the nth degree. Had a great game on Gnar against Shen, it should be noted as well if you missed game 1. Now has the duo of items. The Blade of the Ruined King was the rush, now has the Black Cleaver as well. For his, I'm gonna just kill Gnar every time. Doesn't matter what form he's in.
You can stack it so fast when you're Jace, but also you have Cuz for the backup, so you're just shredding armor like nothing, right? You shred the armor, and then you have the lethality Kha'Zix to jump in too. Even if you're going up against the Gnar, who's picked up a Thornmail, right? You're gonna be doing some significant damage against anyone that you target.
You see Jace pushing up, wants to remove any vision, ensure that Kingzone have the run of the bot side in the 1v1. Steals away the big wolf. Swag walk away, says Khan.
He is the big wolf, right?
He's the big dog, that's for sure.
Making Keen understand what is the top lane right now.
Look, we have a wolf in the jungle in LCK.
True, yeah.
But we have only one alpha dog, one big dog. That is Khan on your screen right now. Secret Agent Khan, not using the Debonair Jace skin, but you wouldn't know from his play.
Looking good so far. And oh so quietly, BDD, you know, sitting at 2, 1, and 3. He's getting farmed up 3 items at this point. Hasn't really had too much, you know, impact on this game, but did a good job of reacting to Cuz's gank and just pushing in Kuro from there. Has a CS lead. The
most interesting thing to look at is hold the point.
Okay, they are going to knock down Cuz here, but they cannot get the kill. He gets away. And it looks like Kingzone just wants to disengage after that, but not even letting them get another kill here is Cuz.
Praise just walking up happily. Like you mentioned, that extra health crystal enough to keep Cuz through. So brittle. Khan never going to teleport to that, not interested. Going to walk and make a lot of turret HP. No one dies, so they don't need to arrest the momentum at all. They keep poking down. And there's just nothing Afreeca can do. You look at their lineup and say, but they have initiation. They can't be grouped as 5 because then their inhibitor's gone on the bot side and other things happen. They don't have the vision to make proactive plays unless we see Cuz face checking. So to actually create the 5v5 team fight that Afreeca could try to layer, just so unrealistic with where the lanes are at right now.
So fun to watch Khan's Jace. Even now that he's super far ahead, just it looks so smooth, you know? The very quick jump in the hammer form and only taking 1 tower shot just to do a little bit more damage to push Keen out of lane. Let's see if he can get the blue buff. That would help out with this push, but looks like he will respect the smite of Spirit here. I say that, but still goes for it. Does get smited away.
At the end of the day, drawing the smite out and having the Lee Sin pick up the blue buff is fine from the perspective of Khan. Second best, just taking it himself. Smart little blue trinket ward there, denies the fast Baron start. Kings don't have an insanely fast Baron.
Okay, now it looks like BDD wants to get some damage done. Doesn't want to be too far behind on the damage charts.
Man, Unbreakable just blocked about 3,000 damage there. BDD, his item build is different this time. Remember, Rod of Ages in the first game in a scaling game. This time he goes for the Abyssal Mask, knowing that all he has to do is stay in lane and front line. Speaking of front line, tries to interrupt Spirit.
Okay, you can see Gorilla in the front lines, but he needs some help. He's going to get a nice 4-man ultimate. Here comes BDD over the wall, and Khan is jumping in. Will pick up the kill on the Spirit, but here comes Kuro. That's going to be BDD, though, getting away with a perfectly timed stopwatch and the Realm Orb. Now they're turning it around. Khan up in the front line with BDD is going to take out another member. They're looking to turn this around now. Cuz still at full health is going to take out one, gets the Varus, and the rest of them running with their tail between their legs. King Zone, man, they are out of control in this game.
Their synergy is so on point. The ability to turn, know how tanky they are, make every little spell matter. They're going to turn back onto the Baron. We're going to see the replay. We could use the picture-in-picture here, Spo TV, but we'll watch the replay. Thank you very much.
They're listening.
Some nice little plays there. Gorilla staying alive. Baron down to 380. Apparently we had no smite there. Never mind, didn't need one. No John of Steel. The stopwatch is still there for the ability to get out.
Perfect timing, too.
And Keen thinks he's going to turn on to Prey, but everyone does a lot of damage. Your item build is a bit anemic. And from there, it's just too easy for King Zone.
Yeah. Gorilla, really got to shout out him as well, even though he wasn't the one doing the damage, right? He delayed it, he lined them up, he got a big ultimate, and then later on, he just blocked so much damage with that Unbreakable, just leading the charge along with Cuz in the front line. So
I had the chance to ask Gorilla about support picks after their loss last week, and I said, you know, were there any real takeaways from you after the loss to KSV? He said, look, I knew tank supports are really strong. Hypercarry tank is what we expected for this meta, but specifically Braum from Core JJ really surprised him. 2 games there, he said, I realized that I undervalued Braum and that Braum was much better than I appreciated. Comes in on the Braum here, 0-0 and 8 kill score, preferring it over things like Taric that were available. Tom Kench was available, not necessarily the strongest pick in this scenario, but they really are going to push up the Braum, and I think a lot of teams can really take inspiration from that because the Braum pick clearly is very powerful.
Yeah, clearly is. I mean, after watching
when you have hyper carries and Rageblade Varus is putting out a lot of damage to one target and the Unbreakable can negate most of it, you win those 5v5 team fights. You eke forward purely from the strength of Braum's E.
Yeah. It's funny to say, too, especially after how dominant his Alistar was in Game 1. Just Gorilla putting on a show, not just playing one champion, showing he can do it on 2. Very nicely done. King Zone, they really are running away with this one now. They're 14,000 gold ahead, above 14,000 even, as they push in with the Baron buff, doing the 1-3-1. They got Ryze down in bot lane. Not much of an answer here for Afreeca.
I mean, let's do a recap. You know, Game 1, when did we know that King Zone would win? Probably around 28 minutes when they got so much out of the Headbutt Pulverized teleport that came in from the Alistar. In this game, felt like about 5 minutes in, you're like, well, this feels like a Khan Jace game. This game has had inevitability for a long time. Let's try and dogpile on the Jace, kill him, it'll make us feel better.
Yeah, they're going to be able to. I mean, when you put in this many resources, but heads up, you're losing your mid inhibitor. Let's see if they can rotate fast enough. It looks like the answer is yes for now.
They get the turret, though. Taking a turret against Azir Varus is so... Azir Varus Janna, like, it's a really terror team to actually take down a turret is very difficult, so usually you'd say that's, you know, a loss, right? Losing your split pushing top laner for just an inhibitor turret, but just given how powerful this team is at wave clear, it's actually a pretty decent spot.
Yeah, opens up that inhibitor. You can see it's already taken a bunch of damage. Prey just trying to push in with each wave, get 1 or 2 auto attacks at most. Does not want to get engaged upon. I mean, even though Spirit hasn't shown too much in this game, he's still there. And he can try to insect Prey if he does get an opportunity here. So Prey will have to be a little bit careful.
One thing I want to track is Khan's average farm lead on Jace, because Flame Horizon was a while ago. It's 120 CS up here. I feel like 100 is his average, given how dominant he often is on this Jace. So who knows how many Jace games we'll see, or be treated to, I guess we should say, because the Jace is really the reason this game has been so accelerated.
Yeah.
But, yep. Very conveniently, very casually, just slamming the CS department.
It really came down to the draft, too. They kind of baited out that Gnar pick, and then he was like, okay, I'll pick this right before it can get banned, as it was in game number 1.
They got the Ryze that really has no awful matchups. And then they got the counter matchup on the Gnar that was the takeaway pick for Afreeca. So it was the dream. Lots of credit to Alongju drafting, coaching staff for that one.
Yeah. Well, they've taken out one inhibitor, looking for the top one. They have lost Baron buff here, but now even Prey is beginning to get online. Hasn't had too much of an impact in this game so far, just chipping away at Keen in the front line. BDD, meanwhile, just looking to sync up with that bottom wave, perhaps, and push that one in.
Frey doesn't really do any damage to Keen, it should be noted, because Keen at the very early Bramble Vest into the Thorn Mail, so watch this ultimate. Yep, does about 200 damage. Boom. No Last Whisper yet for Prey. Just wants to be auto-attacking the turret, but has to respect Keen's Narbar.
Yep, there it is, okay. Corruption is gonna come forward, but no real follow-up here. As Keen was a little bit late on that arm, misses his ultimate entirely, but now here comes Azir in the front, and Varus getting a lot of damage done. Perhaps Kingzone went a little bit too far this time around. Make that 2 kills as both Caitlyn and Jace go down. But Rise very calmly pushing in the bottom lane.
And it was smart from Afreeca to collapse when they did. Semi-global is not full global, so BDD was not able. BDD, remember, can push up, and then there's no ability for Keen to interrupt him through the Realm Warp, so they do pick up the inhibitor. It's looking a bit kind of hasty because Kingzone are trying to skip over some of the things you're supposed to do in these scenarios and take these inhibitors earlier. You could just continue to pull back and be respectful, but they basically say, look, we're going to give up some kills here, but we're going to eventually take the inhibitor for it. Is it worth it this time? Maybe on the nose side, but they are able. They got a second inhibitor. Kingzone, instead of pulling back and waiting for the minions, we're too far up. Nice collapse from Afreeca, but it takes all 5. And if you're taking all 5, Kingzone will make you pay on the map.
They definitely will. A couple of inhibitors now down. Baron about 1 minute and 10 seconds away. You can see Afreeca kind of scrambling over here to get whatever vision they possibly can.
Well, they haven't been able to get anywhere near the Baron for the last, what, 30 minutes of the game, so it's happy for them to be able to put down some vision before Jace shows up. Jace did not have teleport.
I don't think they can have any delusions of taking a straight-up 5v5 fight around the Baron, right? But if they get some vision down, perhaps a Miracle Steal out of Spirit or something like that could keep their hopes alive.
The one thing you can say about Baron is that it requires Kingzone to be grouped, and they still have Azir, Varus, Gnar. Like, there is a team fight where they burst down 2 and they do win it, so getting kited around is the worst. It's playing 3 lanes as Afreeca is almost impossible, even with their wave clear. So it sounds crazy, given that they're 15,000 gold down. But you're probably best bet for something to happen, as aiming hopes for the prediction doesn't get it. But it feels like the only way for them to make something happen is if people are grouped. And Baron's one of the only places that Kingzone are likely to be grouped.
Meanwhile, Khan is the only one sent down over here to the Infernal. They did just spot a bunch of members of Afreeca up towards Baron, so you can easily solo this out. You can see that Cuz not even making his way down, trying to min-max as much as possible. Just only sending Khans over there, bringing in their second Infernal before this potential Baron comes out.
A wealth of options from the Drakes, 2 Infernals and a Mountain. BDD staying in the base, because why not? Doesn't see Kuro just yet, he's in a control ward, but might try to slam him down. Nope, you can't do that, because he got his Zonia.
He did not even hesitate for a second. He's
Speaking
like,
of not hesitating,
I'm out. Okay, here comes the Baron. Spirit is still there, locks down the Q. They're going to totally just reject this. Go off the Baron, stop any DPS. They're not taking any 50-50s here. Not when they're this far ahead.
Where's the Realm Warp going to come in? Not used yet.
He used it to escape down in the bot lane, so just trying to run up in here, and good respect out of Afreeca to just like get out of dodge, not anywhere near there. Now we got Super Minion knocking on those Nexus turrets, and Kingzone might make another play towards Baron.
They were able to draw the teleport out of Keen, so Keen is now clearing out the Super Minions pushing in. They know he can't be there for the near future. Does make Baron safer, and that's why they're right back on.
Yeah, Keen not the fastest on the Gnar at clearing the minions, the Super Minions, but you can see Spirit is the only hope, but he might just get popped, and down he does go right after that Baron gets staked out by Cuz. So Spirit trying to be the hero, not much that he can do.
It's the perfect setup. You know, they got the teleport the first time. The Super Minions had to be respected. No ability for Gnar to get there. Rise on interruption duty, and he has a targeted route to guarantee slowing down the pace of the Rise, and it's too easy from the side of Kingzone. It really is the Longzhu special coming through from Kingzone today. Mid lane inhibitors down. Last inhibitor turret of the game going down, and we're just ready to give Kingzone the big W.
We're waiting there with the trophy of this game, like, here, please accept it already, right? You've already taken this one. You've already beaten Keen and Spirit down a little bit too much. So, you know, gotta feel bad for Aiming's debut as well. He did well, but not the easiest game to stomach when it really was all just the King Zone show here.
I mean, let's be real, bot lane, this was a two-lane game. This was played in top lane and mid. Bot lane was not relevant to this King Zone victory.
Yeah. So, down do go the 2 Nexus turrets. VDD trying to chunk down the Gnar in the front side is going to zone his early. Keen missing that ultimate, but here comes Cuz trying to burst him down. There's that lethality. Down goes Spirit, and down goes the Nexus to secure the 2-0 victory for King Zone DragonX.
Big cheers from the crowd. King Zone, oh so popular here in Korea and around the world. Cuz comes into the lineup, they look even better. Bit of a selection nightmare given that King Zone do play 3 best of 3s this week. Maybe you just go for this plan of start one of them, bring in the second one regardless of result, and just give them time. Khan coming in was a really big upgrade for them. Rascal had a good series on his debut, but you never play if your contemporary is Khan, the best top laner in the world, probably deservedly now. Unbelievable performance from him against Keen, who did so well against Smeb. And King Zone DragonX get their week off in an even better result than you might have imagined. A 2-1 victory to King Zone. That was a very real prediction. A 2-0, that would have taken a betting man. Big result for them.
Would have to agree on the prediction. I was thinking 2-1 for King Zone, but, you know, sad times here for Afreeca. They look so good against KT. It was, you know, the 2-1 victory. They finally get that win, but now up against a perhaps better team in terms of form after what we saw today. It's arms folded and crossed, concerned looks across the board, even on the coaches, as they all kind of look stunned after game 1 and game 2.
They were really obliterated by Khan's Jace. Sort of thing where whatever preparation you put into this game, your expectations, you're shattered there, understandably. Sort of VOD review where so early in the game you're like, well, we have lost a lot here. It's going to be so difficult to get back in. No doors were opened by the side of King Zone. Very dominant in a way that few teams have dreamed of being in this 8.1 meta. The gold lead, remember we said it started at 25 minutes last time. At 25 minutes, it was already 10,000 gold. Unbelievable stuff from King Zone.
It really was. Definitely had to feel like one of those games where you're playing bot lane and you just see the kill feed on your solo queue. It's like, oh, the top laner died. Oh, my jungle died. Oh, the top turret went down. What do we do? What can we do? I guess we try to push, but then they get ganked and everything just fell apart. So most damage dealt on the Rift goes over to Jace. No surprise there. But also Kuro on that Azir, you know, did a lot of damage in that last fight at least. But
he was poking well in lane, but you know, Abyssal Mask comes in and not killing the Rise anytime soon. Kuro had a couple of gaps. We did mention that he had the mechanical mistake around top side, would have changed things at least a little bit, would have got them a kill early when they had just no control over their red side jungle. An obliteration by King Zone, a pleasure to watch after so many drawn games, including the first 25 minutes of our first game today. But this is definitely not necessary. This is kind of a don't try this at home for other teams around the world who watch this like, yep, let's bring out the Jace. We've seen NA Jace, we've seen EU Jace. A lot of KR Jace isn't necessarily fantastic, but Khan Jace, that makes things like this possible.
Yeah, only one guy, I suppose. No other names really come to mind.
Huni's pretty good too.
Huni's okay. He's still behind the Khan Jace, though. You got to give him that #1, that golden spot
definitely
on top of the Jace throne.
I mean, I was just saying there's a 1 and a 2, not just a 1 and a nothing. So, just great stuff.
We are going to go ahead and look at our MVP from game number 2. Will be the Cuz MVP. No real surprise there. You were talking about how Jace, Khan on the Jace up in the top lane really opened him up to be able to do what he did in this game. But he did it well. He did what he had to do. He covered Spirit all over the jungle and just allowed Khan to go nuts in the top lane.
I mean, we forget this guy was a Royal Roader. First ever professional season, won the LCK title. That gives him the Royal Road title. Plays one game, gets an MVP, synergizes with his lane beautifully. Really good stuff from Cuz.
Yeah, so we are going to be hearing from Suncaster. He will be interviewing both Khan, the MVP from game number 1, and Cuz, the MVP from game number 2. So let's hand it over to them and hear what they have to say.
선수, 오늘의 최고의 선수 두 명의 선수를 만나보도록 하겠습니다. 두 선수, 칸 선수와 커즈 선수를 만나보도록 하겠습니다. 축하합니다.
감사합니다.
네. 이 두 선수 조합 같은 경우는 이미 지난 스플릿 그리고 그 이전부터 증명이
you
됐었고
two guys
워낙
are really
멋진 경기를 많이
familiar
보여줘서
competition, right?
팬들의 기대치가 굉장히 많았었는데
And all the fans were expecting a lot from you
지난주에
guys.
못 나온 거를 뭔가 한 번에 응축시켜서 보였다는 그런 느낌이 좀 있는데요.
Weren't you really sad that you couldn't make it in the last match? Well, I was a bit sad, but I think Rascal is a good player, so it wasn't actually his fault. So from on the next games, we're gonna make it as a team and better performance.
그랬어. 뭐 이런 얘기가 있을 정도로 깎고 나서 더 강해졌다. 뭐 이런
And
얘기가
people are
좀 있는
saying
느낌이
that they
있거든요.
are loving your new
이거에
hairstyle.
도움을 주는 게 좀 있나요, 뭔가?
What are your comments? Yeah, I tried some new hairstyle, and it also gave me some inner difference inside of my heart. I could be more calm in the game. So I think it helped me throughout my outside and also my inside.
충분히 많은 분들께서 그런 걸 인지하고 계실 것 같습니다. 특히나 뭐 일단은 뭐 커스 선수도
Then
사실상
moving on to Cuz.
이번 시즌 첫 번째 출전 아니에요?
It was your first match for the split.
사실 이제 어떻게 보면 피넛 선수가 들어오면서 쉽지 않은 그 팀 내 경쟁이
Peanut
좀
joined your
생겼잖아요.
squad and
어떻게 보면은
you
뭐
had to go through some kind of
앞심이
competition.
있겠습니다만 본인 입장에서는 좀
How do you
빡빡한 그
feel?
내부 경쟁도 생겼을 것 같은데 어떤가요?
한편으로는 또 괜찮다고
Well, I
생각하는
feel
게
okay on one hand
왕호 형한테
because
정말 많은 걸 배웠다고 생각했고
I think I've learned a lot from
오늘도
Peanut.
그거 보여줬다고 생각하고
And also Peanut showed his
또
great
경쟁을
performance
하다
today.
보니까 저도 더
And throughout the
실력이
competition,
늘 수 있는 것 같아요.
it helped me a lot to improve my
달라진
performance.
점이 있다면 실력적인 측면에서 뭐가 많이
What
바뀐
is
거,
the
배운
biggest
거, 뭐 이런 게 있다면 뭐가
difference
있을까요?
have you guys gone through compared to last split? I think we've gained more stability and I've learned what the roles of junglers.
것까지 다 알게 되었어요.
그러니까 그래서 오늘 경기 끝나고 난 뒤에 뭔가 지난 스플릿보다 훨씬 더 탑과의 또 조합이 좀 다른 느낌으로 좋았다는
So
얘기가 좀
we
있었거든요.
found a really good synergy between you and Cuz and you and Peanut.
동시에 탑 정글 두 개가 아니고
네.
전체적인
Well, not just top and jungle. I think all throughout the lanes, I think we've improved a lot.
이겼으면 좋겠어요. 뭐 말로 무슨 표현
And words doesn't really matter. I think we should really show it with our performance.
농담이었고요. 사실 우리 카 선수 같은 경우는 2세트 제이스 픽이 지금 굉장히 화제입니다.
And
전 세계 팬들이
your Jace play in the second set was really awesome.
왜냐하면 안 나올 거라고 생각을 했으니까.
A lot of
이거
people
제이스
didn't
어떻게
expect you
생각하시나요?
to play Jace since it was nerfed a lot.
확실히 옛날에 비해서 안 좋았던 게 맞지만
Yeah, I have to say it's not as good as before, but my performance has grown more than before, so I think Jace is still good for me to
이런 느낌인
use.
거죠?
네, 맞습니다.
I would like to say nerf this.
멋진 장면들이 많았었는데 일단은 그 팬들은 그런 얘기가 있어요. 제이스를 선택한 게 처음에는
And a lot of
뭐
people
그런
have
얘기가
been
있었거든요.
saying that
1세트는 그래 쉔과 나르의 그 뭐 상성
Your
때문에
Jace
그랬다.
pick is
그럼 이번에는
all about your
제이스를
mechanics.
잡고도 확실히 탑에서 이기는 걸 보여주겠다는 식의 약간의 뭐 지고 못 사는 그 성격이 좀 발현돼가지고 제이스가 나온 게
Did you
아닌가
want to show your
이런
great
얘기가 있었는데
performance with your
팀 자체에
Jace
본인
play?
생각이 확 들어간 거예요? 아니면 팀 단위의 선택?
Or it was your composition, all about the composition or your mechanics?
있기도 했고 이제
요청이 있었고.
Well, it was part of our plan, but I actually personally wanted to play Jace.
믿고 맡겨준
And
결과가
our teammates had trusted me, so I think we ended up in a good result.
네, 뭐 비단 제이스 아니더라도 이제 탱커도 좋은
And not only Jace, I want to show great performance with tankers, so
그냥
지켜봐 주세요.
hope everyone keep rooting for me.
전 세계에서 지금 제이스를 다 무시하고 제이스를 경멸하고 제이스를 버리고
And
제이스를
is there anything you want to
수많은
say
팬들에게
to all the
제이스
Jace
다시
haters
한번
out there in the
해주신다면요?
world?
여러분들 제이스의 문제가 아니고 손가락이
Well,
문제예요.
it's not the champion's problem, it's your mechanics.
네, 손가락이랍니다. 손가락. 그럼 일단 커즈도 기회를 얻었을 때 사실 그 선택하는 그 챔피언에
For
대한
Cuz,
고민들도 분명히 있었을 것 같아요.
What was the reason that you picked
선택하면서 경기를 풀어냈던 과정,
Kha'Zix in the
물론
game
너무
too?
좋았었는데 원하는 만큼 나왔는데 딱 선택했던
Are you
대로 흐름이 나오는 건가요?
satisfied with your
어떻습니까?
performance today?
저희가 원하던 대로 공격적으로 할 수 있었고
네.
Yeah, I think we could make our plays very aggressively, so I'm really satisfied.
잘할 수 있어가지고 지금
But I can say I'm good at other champions too, so I want to get more chances to show others how I'm good in tankers and dealers and everything.
이길 수 있는 살짝 부르셔 느낌 다 준비되어 있어요.
I'm ready for all the
약간
champions.
새로운 커즈 선수의 모습도 한번 기대해 보도록 하겠습니다. 사실 이건 뭐 약간 팀 단위적으로 지난번에 제가 말씀을 안 드렸는데 BDD
Then
선수가
as a
지난번
team,
경기 이제 100경기를
BDD had his 100th match last time.
못 드렸었는데 팀 단위로 어떻게 보면 이런 소소한 경사들도 계속 생기고 있잖아요. 뭐 BDD 선수 축하한다고
Is there anything
뭐
you want to
말씀
say
주실
to
것 같고.
BDD, your teammate?
지금 알게 됐는데
네, 지금 알았죠?
Well, I
네,
just
지금 알았습니다.
heard it just now, so
말씀해주면 될까요?
네, 되죠.
뭐
So BDD, congratulations on your 100th match. And I'm looking forward for your 200th match and your better performance in the near future.
어떻게 보면 지금까지 킹존 드래곤엑스에 대한 기대치가 사실상 엄청 높게 출발했잖아요.
And lastly,
엄청 높게 출발했는데
everyone was
살짝 밀리긴
expecting
했습니다.
a lot from you
그래도
guys, but the first
오늘
match
경기를
didn't go
지켜보면
that easy.
네가
But
사실 우리가 타곤산 올라가기
today,
시작하면서
I think you guys
경기가
did
기본적으로
made it up to your
예상했었는데
fans.
킹존 드래곤엑스는 완전 다른 느낌이었잖아요. 앞으로 팬들 킹존
So is
드래곤엑스
there anything you want to say to your fans?
이렇게 유리할 때는 빨리 끝낼 수 있고 저희가 불리하더라도 멘탈 잡고 열심히 해서
I'm gonna make sure that we're gonna make 2-0 games, and even though when we are losing, we're gonna make
아,
comebacks and win all the matches in the rest of the schedule.
옆에 형이 너무 말을 잘해가지고 말을 잘 못하는 게
Well, I'm not really a good talker as Khan, but
스타일로 꼭
keep rooting for us, and we're gonna make sure that we're gonna show a great performance. Thank you very much. And this will be the end of the interview.
Thank you, Jisun, for the translation. We'll go over some of the highlights from game number 1. Loving the trash talk out of Khan. Definitely deserves to do it after the performance in game number 2 here.
Just needs to modulate a little bit, not incur the wrath of the missing matches penalty that he did last time for running his mouth a bit too much. But like you say, what a great game from him. We don't even get to see all the little Q woven in auto attacks, never losing damage in the laning phase that really started the snowball. But I think the moment that kind of the top lane problems also spread their ugly head in the bot side if you're an Afreeca fan, when they got this double gank off as well, that was the true sinking feeling for the side of Afreeca. There was really no way home from this scenario, and Kingzone with a very straightforward victory. It was extended, it wasn't the 27-minute victories of last season, it was around the 37-minute mark, but still, Kingzone in full control.
Yeah, it definitely was. I mean, Kuro having a little bit of trouble on the Azir in this game, but I feel like it was more of a team effort from both sides to either win or lose this one. Another gank down on the bottom side, BDD making that level 2 Realm Warp work wonders for him, getting behind the 2 bot laners, and then Gorilla on the Braum, and this one blocking a lot of damage for Khan, allowing BDD to come up here, and the eventual follow-up as well. Perfectly timed from BDD to get out of there right as that ultimate was coming in. Keen goes a little bit too far forward once again, gets caught out, and that really just leads to everybody else dying, and then the eventual Baron take.
Yeah, he had the Gnabar, but didn't have the health or the items behind him. The cleanup from Kingzone was too easy. That means a big victory for the side of Kingzone in a week where they have to play 3 matches. Picking up the 2 victories here is big for their confidence because they're seen as one of our top contenders. A game like that really does confirm it.
Up in the top, it says the destroyers of the meta and like Grasshopper. I don't know why they're calling them Grasshopper, but
the Kazakhs.
Yeah. Oh, okay, that makes sense. But yeah, a couple of games in under 40 minutes. Definitely going against the meta here in terms of the average game length. But let's take a look at the standings after this one. Kingzone will be 1-1, as will Afreeca Freecs with 1 less indicator points just below them.
In our future game, we will get to see one of the 1-0 teams, though, and the BBQ Olivers play their second game. We will have the final 2 teams that have not played 2 matches before. 5 more days means we will see the first 4 series of every team. But Kingzone, you know, they'll now be able to say, first match, it was no Russ, no Khan, it was a fluke. And we'll try and carry this momentum into a difficult week. They have to play SK Telecom T1 at the end of the week after the Telecom War. So that's going to be a fun one to track. Telecom War is tomorrow, but Friday here at the Gangnam Stadium, it will be SK Telecom versus Kingzone DragonX.
A match to look forward to, right? Because it's going to be Khan going up against Untara or Tal up in the top side. So perhaps even having more fun up there. But as you guys did see, Kingzone does take the 2-0 victory over Afreeca. Now we are going to be jumping into BBQ Olivers versus the Rocks Tigers. Because the first 2 games went by so fast, we might have a bit of a longer break here. So you guys will have to sit tight and wait for the second matchup.
It's about 7:02 Korean time. We do start the second series at 7:50, so about 45 to 48 minutes before the match will be starting. So sit tight, but we've got good games coming up later.
Yeah, so stay tuned, guys. 45 minutes, we'll be back with BBQ versus